A sound retirement plan isn't about trying to time the stock market or chasing the latest hot stock tip. It's a comprehensive financial plan that includes tax reduction strategies, estate planning, maximizing your Social Security benefits, and how to safely turn your retirement savings into an income-producing workhorse. Make way for Gerry Benjamin and Woody Alpern, two CPAs located right here in Atlanta with over 55 years of combined investing, tax, and retirement planning experience. Welcome to the CPA Wealth Advisors radio show.
It's the good life. Full of
It's
fun.
Woody, and I'm with Gerry here on the CPA Wealth Advisors radio show. Happy weekend, everybody. Another important show. Do you worry if you'll be able to maintain your same lifestyle in retirement? Al, do you worry about that?
Of course I do.
Of course.
Yeah.
You got to worry about that. Do you worry that you could be 80 years old, full of life, and clipping coupons just to get by? Look, nobody wants to be forced to make drastic sacrifices to their lifestyle in the final chapters of their life. Nobody. That's not what we're working so hard for. You still want to go out for that nice dinner, or Gerry, take a nice vacation once in a while. I love that. You know that. But the very thing that could prevent you from being able to maintain any kind of lifestyle in retirement is what? What do you guys think it is?
Inflation.
Exactly. And we haven't had a lot of it lately, but historically we have. That's who the villain is in this story today. It's old man inflation. So understand something. Inflation, it won't cause you to go broke in retirement, but it can cause you to live like you're broke. Most people aren't taking inflation seriously because what happens is it slowly creeps up on you inch by inch, and you really don't even see it coming. But after 10 and 15 and 20 years, it can really hit you like a ton of bricks. All of the things that were once affordable are now unthinkable luxuries. It's crazy. The ability to maintain your lifestyle is one of the single most critical pillars in retirement planning. You bet our CPA Wealth Advisors factor this in. Look, we've worked with hundreds of clients right here in Atlanta to do this, to help protect them against the devastating effects of inflation. So on today's show, Gerry and I are both going to reveal the impact of inflation can have on your retirement, but we always like to give answers. We're going to give you 8 specific strategies that we use with our very own clients, of course, to help them maintain, the good life in retirement. And a little pop quiz that Gerry and Al aren't even aware of when we get back as it relates to inflation. Some pretty shocking statistics of how things were just back in 1961. We're going to talk about that, our strategies on how you can beat inflation when we get back right here on News Radio 106.7.
Time to get your financial act together. Now you can get a free customized retirement analysis with CPA Wealth Advisors. Discover proven strategies to generate more income in retirement. Learn how to maximize your Social Security benefits and minimize your taxes. And now back to Gerry and Woody on the CPA Wealth Advisors show.
It's the good life to be free.
Welcome back.
and
It's Woody here on the
explore
CPA Wealth Advisors radio show with Gerry. And today's show is about maintaining your lifestyle in retirement. And the villain in the story today, old man inflation. And inflation might not seem like a problem now, but over time, little by little, it eats away at your purchasing power in a really meaningful way. So let's see. Let's go through some examples. Al and Gerry, I told you before the break, a little pop quiz. Here's the pop quiz. Let's wind things back to 1961 and see just how dramatic of an effect inflation has had. Let me ask you quick questions. Number 1, average new house costs in the United States back in 1961.
Woody, I'm going to guess. Let me truncate to the third decimal point. $12,537. What do you got?
Al, you don't even need to guess because Big G is pretty darn close. Unbelievable. $12,550 for a new house, okay? Al, this one. You back in 1961, you were cool and cruising around and you wanted to buy a brand new car. Brand new nice car, mid-range nice car. How much did it cost you? About
54 years ago. Annual inflation's run about 2.75%.
Maybe
54 years, $2,837. What do you got, Woody?
Jerry's nailing these, so it was $22,849. One more, right? There's a lot of these examples, a lot of them. One more. Here we go. Average price of gas per gallon.
26 cents a gallon.
Ooh,
Bingo.
not far off. I came up with 27. What
27.
Yep.
27
You were
cents.
thinking 1962, Al. I was thinking 1961.
So why did I do this, really? Why did I do this? I did this to show
make
you
a point.
To make a point. You see, these things are dramatic when you look back in time. And the fact is you've got 20, 30, 40 years that you're building up for retirement, and inflation's going to kick in. Now, Jerry, I know you have a little story that relates back to, you told me, to your mom. And that really drives home this point of inflation even further. So, without further ado, give us a little story about your mom and the situation she had.
You know, Woody, I'm happy to. I grew up in Cleveland, Ohio. That's sort of the heart belt of the United States, the Midwest. My mother was born in 1935. I'm not sure, but I think Herbie Hoover was U.S. president back then.
I think that's right.
A new car back in 1935 was about $610, Woody. Could you imagine that? Average rent was about $18 a month, and I think eggs were 16 cents a dozen.
Cheap.
Woody, what would it cost for you to eat that hard car breakfast of yours at the Waffle House if those eggs cost 16 cents a dozen?
I mean,
think you'd be
a
eating
quarter.
for 50 cents
50
a morning.
cents. And Waffle House gotten expensive, by the way.
So things have changed in 80 years. There's no question about it. And up until a month ago, my mom was still a spry woman. She lived in those sort of Midwestern values. Everywhere she went, people knew her. She wasn't a materialistic person, but she was a person of substance. But boy, when you look at what inflation did over time, it's a good thing my mother started early when she did. Think about that. A new car, Woody, $610. Today you win the lottery, you do the scratch off at the Magic Market, you could win $5,000. My kid came home, my sophomore up at Syracuse came home last summer. How was your day, Dad? It was pretty good. What's happening? He said, I won the scratch off. I said, what does that mean? He said, I won $5,000 on the scratch off lottery ticket.
Wow.
I said, really, Eric, $5,000? He shrugged his shoulders like it was nothing, Woody. $5,000.
That would have bought a few
cars. In 1935, that would have bought my mother 8 cars.
Unbelievable.
And to my son, it's nothing. But you know that. Our kids live on that scholarship program. You're familiar with that.
Absolutely.
They are on scholarship all times. You talked about living, the good life in retirement. The other alternative I frequently refer to, just the polar opposite, that's the guy living in the appliance box under the bridge. What does that mean? You're driving down 75-85. You're coming to the Grady turn there. You drive under the bridge where it curves off to I-20 either way, and you see a bunch of hobos living in the appliance boxes. They aren't living the good life in retirement, Woody. They didn't plan. They didn't meet with our CPA Wealth Advisors. But how do you set yourself up where you can maintain your standard of living that you enjoyed while you're working while you're not earning a paycheck in retirement? How do you go about doing it? That's the question. Well, the first thing is, don't assume that when you retire, you're going to be without a paycheck. We've talked time and time again about a number of retirees being more actively engaged and actually working while they're in retirement part-time. The Home Depot is a huge employer of senior citizens that bring knowledge and experience and know-how, and these people are getting benefits and they're working less than 40 hours a week, but actively working the store floor in retail. It's a great way to remain engaged and share some knowledge with those young whippersnappers like yourself. But a couple hints to ensure that you live in retirement and maintain your standard of living? Woody, the first one. It is possible not to live at or above your means, but to live below your means and save throughout your working career. Don't dial up the risk-o-meter and move it all to cash. That doesn't make sense. And there are a number of other hints we're going to give you, but the best way to get those detailed hints and operationalize them is through our retirement analysis. We call it the Master Retirement Analysis. We conduct it with our senior-most CPA Wealth Advisors. And Woody, how do you go about getting it and why?
I'll tell you how you go about getting it. You call us at 770-622-9145. Again, 770-622-9145. You bet we're going to factor in inflation, some Social Security optimization. We're going to give you a tax analysis, and we're going to plan for longevity so you don't retire living under that appliance box that Gerry always
refers to. Under the bridge, in the appliance.
And guess what? It's free and it's customized. 770-622-9145. When we get back, Gerry's going to continue with those points on just how to beat inflation. Keep it right here.
Do you know how much money you'll need to retire? Do you know how you'll generate any income with interest rates next to 0%? And do you know for certain that you'll never run out of money in retirement? Get a free customized retirement income analysis with the CPA Wealth Advisors. And now back to Gerry and Woody on the CPA Wealth Advisors Show.
It's the good life.
Welcome back. You're with Gerry and Woody, and you're listening to the CPA Wealth Advisors. Have you ever heard the story how your parents paid a quarter to go see a movie? You probably paid a couple bucks yourself as a kid. Today, the average ticket for a movie, Woody, nearly $10. I know you're using that senior citizen card, though, aren't you?
You bet, of course.
Of course he is, but that's inflation. $10 for a movie. And this is the very thing that will prevent you from maintaining your lifestyle in retirement. Without a strategy to inflation in retirement, you could wind up being 80 years old, full of life, and clipping coupons just to get by. In this segment, we're going to bring forth those techniques that you can put in action to ensure you can maintain your lifestyle in retirement. But let me ask you, our listeners, if you were forced to retire today, would you be prepared? According to U.S. Today, 60% of Americans retire unexpectedly. And what does that mean? You lose your job, your spouse, or a parent's health takes a turn for the worse, and it happens, Woody, to 6 out of 10 people. Think about that. 6 out of 10 lose their jobs. Life can change in an absolute heartbeat like this, right? And you need to be prepared. But being prepared isn't about achieving some random number from a calculator or picking a handful of stocks and bonds and mutual funds. It's having a complete plan that covers everything. And that's really where we can help. We've helped hundreds of people retire successfully right here in Metro Atlanta, and we can help you too. So we tell you, between now and year end, it's a perfect time to avail yourself with our complimentary Retirement Master Plan. Appointments are filling up thickly for the remainder of the year, but we urge you to pick up the phone. If you've recently retired or within 5 years of retiring, you've saved at least $100,000 for retirement, give us a call to schedule your customized Retirement Master Plan now. And the number to call, as Woody said, 770-622-9145. That's 770-622-9145. This initial analysis won't cost you a dime. In fact, after investing an hour and two, if you believe you've garnered no benefit at all, you've heard it before, Woody is going to treat you and your spouse, that's right, you and your spouse, we've expanded it, to dinner anywhere in Atlanta. The check's on Woody, and what you learn during this meeting could change everything. Get that feeling of power. Take control of your retirement. Pick up the phone, 770-622-9145, 770-622-9145. Before we go on with those hints, I'm going to ask Woody to talk to you about an incredible appointment he had last week with one of our listeners. Anne from Dunwoody came in along with her husband. He had lost his job and had health reversals. Things were looking bleak. First thing they did was that tax checkup, Woody, and let our listeners know what you found when you went through that tax return, will you?
I will, Jer.
I don't mean to put you on the spot, but it's too good to keep to ourselves.
I'm going to tell you what we found.
Please.
Here's what we found. We found that, and these are my two Woody's goodies that I'm going to be doing at the end of the segment.
I knew you were going to use them. They're that good.
Okay, but I'm going to give you a hint now as to what they are.
Hint.
But I'm not going to give you exactly the solution.
Okay.
Okay? I want everybody to stay with the show. So here's what we found. Number one, this couple, one of them did not have an IRA, the wife.
Yep.
The husband did have an IRA.
Yep.
Over the income limit to make a Roth contribution.
Yep.
Did we think of a way for even the husband to make a Roth contribution? And they were over the income limitation. That's one. Number two, and they loved our answer. You're going to love how we got around this. Number two, the other couple that came in. They came in, they have income in retirement that's causing them to pay estimated taxes. And
that was Fran and Bill from Douglasville. I remember them.
And their accountant said, hey, you got to pay estimated taxes throughout the year, right? And we said,
used the December technique.
I'm going to tell you that they were also subject at this time to the required minimum distributions because they were over age 70 and a half. What did we do to avoid for the rest of their time ever paying estimated taxes? Great solutions we came up with.
I think we withheld the whole Megillah, but go ahead.
And let me tell you something. We come up with all this by doing our retirement master plan. So the point of this is to tell you, we don't just go and create a budget for you and make sure that you're not going to run out of money. We don't also take a look at how we're going to mitigate the effects of inflation. We don't only optimize your Social Security, but we also comb through your tax return to come up with solutions just like this. Many of the Woody's goodies are from real live examples. When you see our senior-most CPA Wealth Advisor right there in the meeting going through your tax return, giving you implementable tips right there in the free meeting, along with then a couple days later, us delivering to you a detailed retirement master plan for free, you know that I will not have to buy you a dinner because we always provide value. I've never seen a meeting where we don't come up with at least one great tax tip. Enough. How do you get it? Simple. You call 770-622-9145. 770-622-9145.
Woody, isn't this really all about us delivering what fundamentally people want and need? They really want to have their hand held. It's very complex, sometimes overwhelming. Who does a better job holding our listeners' hands and walking them through the steps than our CPA Wealth Advisors?
I've never seen anybody do it better, and they were ranked number one in Georgia. So proud of that. Why? There must be a reason for it. So, like I said, call me 770-622-9145. When we get back, more ways to maintain your lifestyle in retirement and beat inflation.
How do you safely generate any income in retirements with interest rates next to 0%? $500,000 in a one-year CD will only generate about $400 a month, and that's before taxes. Discover proven and successful strategies to generate more income in retirement. Call the CPA Wealth Advisors for a retirement income analysis. And now back to Gerry and Woody on the CPA Wealth Advisors Show.
It's the good life. To be free.
This is Gerry along with Woody, and you're back here on the CPA Wealth Advisors, and we're talking about how to maintain that standard of living in retirement without earning a paycheck. Woody, take it away.
Well, we've already covered a couple, Jerry, and I told you we have 8 specific ways, and I want to get through them all, how to maintain your standard of living in retirement. Jerry, you said number 1 was live below your means and save throughout your working career. Pretty obvious one. We push that all the time. You told us that number 2 is don't dial up the risk-o-meter. What that means is, listen, yeah, startups and so forth are going to promise you these huge returns, right? Your friend at the party told you the greatest, latest. Don't do it. Don't overshoot. Go for reasonable returns. But number 3 is sort of the counter of that. Be aware of the effects of inflation.
The silent killer.
Right? So while you don't want to go all the way into risky investments, you don't want to be sitting in cash either. And we see that. People are sitting in cash, earning literally nothing in money markets accounts. Now, that means that you need to build a long-term diversified portfolio and not ignore it. Are you rebalancing it? Are you really doing that? Don't chase, though, the latest, greatest returns. Whatever was the greatest last year is probably going to be pretty low this year. Number 4, fix the interest rates on your debt. Why? Why would we tell you right now, hint, in this historic period of time, would we want you to lock in your interest rates? Because they're not going to get much lower. In fact, we all hear every day on the news, rates are going up. Good time to lock those in. Number 5, don't blindly chase yield. You know, you've heard it, no free lunch, right? These people that come out and they promise you a guaranteed yield at a pretty high rate, that's a pretty high risk.
What did junk bonds do this year, Woody? You took it in the shorts.
Exactly. And I'll tell you, there's a lot of advisors out there that we see people putting people into guaranteed income streams, but they're eroding their principal. It's ridiculous. It's usually too good to be true. Be mindful of that. Number 6, you gotta consider some form of longevity insurance. Now, you gotta be careful here.
What does that mean, by the way?
We're seeing a lot of articles lately that are going back and trying to say whole insurance or annuities are better than term. You should not buy term and invest the rest. We believe whole life or annuities are better. And guess who those articles are written by?
Whole life insurance salesman, I bet.
Exactly. Be careful. We've run the numbers, and we have not ever seen where that makes sense. Number 7, know as many details as possible about how much you spend. What does that mean? Prepare a budget. And if you're not going to prepare a budget for yourself because you don't feel like pulling all that data together, come see us and we'll extract it out of you and we'll get you on a budget to make sure that you can maintain your lifestyle in retirement. And number 8, cut every expense that doesn't matter much to you. Now, here's the point of this one. It's okay to be frugal. Frugal is kind of in. And the things that you think you really have to have, you'd be surprised that once you cut them, you can live without them. You want me to give you one? Let me
Cloth
give you
seats on the car.
That's one, but let me give
Air
you a better
conditioning.
one. Not air
Electronic
conditioning.
windows.
I don't think so. But how about this one? If you cut out your cable bill, cut it out altogether, guess what you can do? You can get almost all of those same shows on Netflix for a fraction of the cost. And you got the internet, and you have cable TV. There's so much duplication. You can get a lot of free stuff. Point is, it's okay to be frugal. So we want you to think about those 8 ways to mitigate the effects of inflation. And if you come in and see us, we're going to build a budget for you. We're going to absolutely force you to think about all of those line items. And I got to tell you, it's particularly important to what Gerry said before, because a lot of people are being forced to retire today, and they may not be prepared. According to USA Today, 60% of Americans retire unexpectedly. You lose your job, your spouse, or a parent's health takes a turn for the worse. It happens to 6 out of 10 people. Life can change in a heartbeat. and you need to be prepared. That's the point. But being prepared, it's not about achieving some random number from an online calculator or a robo-advisor that is automatically going to do something without knowing your facts and is certainly not going to follow up with you, or simply picking a handful of stocks and bonds. It is not about that at all. It's about having a complete plan that covers everything. And that's where we can help. I see it every single day. We've helped hundreds of people retire successfully here in Atlanta and even around the country.
Woody, when you say it covers everything, let's talk about what that includes.
So it covers, Jerry, number one, going through your tax return. We see people missing things every day on their tax return. It covers taking a look at all your various Social Security options and making a strategy for you as it relates to that so you maximize Social Security.
How about developing a detailed budget?
Absolutely, we will develop a detailed budget. And I'll tell you something else that is equally as important. We're going to develop what is called a dynamic withdrawal strategy. Now, the word dynamic means it's going to change. So whatever withdrawal strategy you have this year may not be the same that we have for you in years going forward. Which baskets of money do you take out first and why can have a huge impact on your retirement.
What about an asset allocation?
Not only are we going to take a look at doing it when you first meet with us, but we're going to rebalance it for you for the life of your retirement. All of these things and more can be yours for absolutely free by simply calling us at 770-622-9145. 770-622-9145. Look, how you maintain your lifestyle in retirement and all of these strategies to fight old man inflation are really important, and they're going to become more important. Interest rates are at an all-time low. They're going to go up. Get prepared. Let us help you. I promise you're going to get blown away, especially when you meet our senior-most CPA Wealth Advisors. And if we don't do what we say and you're not impressed, Gerry has very generously offered me up to buy you and your spouse dinner anywhere in town. Gerry, that was really generous of you to offer me up like that. I will absolutely do it. I've never had to so far. 770-622-9145. 770-622-9145. More on how to beat old man inflation when we get back here on News Radio 1067.
Do you know how much money you'll need to retire? Do you know how you'll generate any income with interest rates next to 0%? And do you know for certain that you'll never run out of money in retirement? Get a free customized retirement income analysis with the CPA Wealth Advisors. And now back to Gerry and Woody on the CPA Wealth Advisors show.
It's the good life to be free.
It's Woody, and guess what segment it is right now? It's my favorite segment, Gerry's Picks, here on the CPA Wealth Advisors radio show. And I'll tell you, Gerry, if there's one heck of a good way to beat inflation, it would have been to basically buy all of your picks this year. You've pretty much crushed inflation. And I think over the long term, your diversified portfolio as part of an overall portfolio would really help mitigate these effects. So what do you got for us this week?
Well, Woody, I've got a theme for you this week that I'm going to explain to each of our listeners. I think it's going to resonate, and I'm going to share with you a specific pick and a ticker symbol. A lot of you know this company. Why you're overlooking it, I cannot understand it. But let's go back to that diversified portfolio theme. Every week I talk about our basic core dividend growth portfolio, and you notice, other than accentuating a couple of the positions therein, these same 5 equities have dominated my growth portfolio for the last 7 years. When I first introduced this over 2 years ago, you knew that our portfolio consisted of Johnson & Johnson, the ticker symbol is JNJ, Realty Income, the ticker symbol is O, that defense behemoth, General Dynamics, GD, National Retail Properties, NNN, and that old staple, Microsoft, MFST. if you had a market basket with one share of each at 12/31/2013, those stocks would have had an average value of $292.12. So one share of J&J, one share of Realty Income, one share of General Dynamics, one share of National Retail, one share of Microsoft, add the 5 shares up, $292 of value. That grew between 12/31/13 and 14 up to $375 in 12 months. So all you had to do is just sit, enjoy the dividend growth in the distributions, which were averaging close to 3%, and you would have appreciated from $292 to $375, annualized yield of 35%. Calendar of 2014, pretty good year, Woody.
Amazing.
Everyone assumed we couldn't rival it. 2015 would be a down year. Fast forward to today, that market basket of 5 stocks up to $388.94. 4% compound growth year to date. I believe we'll close the year up 5%. For an average compound growth for those listeners that have been with us on the radio in excess of 22% per annum. Far, far exceeding the cost of inflation, Woody. This week's pick is emblematic of a theme that's so straightforward and so commonsensical, I urge you to listen carefully. Everybody knows the company. The ticker symbol is DIS. The name of the company is the Walt Disney Company. You've all heard of it. Company's traded at a reasonably tight bracket for the last year of between $90 and $122 a share. Closed this week at $112 and change. That's right, Disney, DIS, $112 and change. Where are we sitting today, Woody, on December 12th? Where are we? We're sitting with 3 weeks to go in the year, and what's happening in a couple weeks? Do we know what's happening at the box office?
I mean, Star Wars is one thing.
Star Wars is happening. It opens up on December 18th, Woody. Pre-sales for Star Wars The Force Awakens has already exceeded every record in the history of film releases. Now, everyone's focusing on that $70 million of pre-sales that's already been booked. Star Wars, you heard it here, will have the highest opening weekend in the history of a December release here in the United States. What people haven't focused on is Walt Disney's consumer products behemoth grew 29% last year. Average margin on this schlock that they sell, their themed toys, apparel, cozy cups, iPad cushions, pencil holders, and everything else to go with it. Average gross margin on that stuff's north of 50%, Woody. The Star Wars franchise is ready to break loose, and by all estimates, some of the parts suggest to me that Walt Disney Company can easily trade up another 20% following next quarter's earnings. You heard it here first. The ticker symbol is DIS. The company's no small cap Johnny-come-lately. Walt Disney is boasting a market cap exceeding $186 billion. It pays a healthy 1.4% dividend. It's trading in the middle of its 12-week range. And for those of you that don't recall, in addition to the Disney theme parks, they own a couple other properties you may have heard of, including ESPN, including ABC TV, Disneyland, Walt Disney World, the theme park in Hong Kong, the theme park in China, and Burbank, California complex, and all the Disney distribution, consumer products, and the Captain Marvel portfolio is hatching 19 more films. Jerry's pick for the week, the Walt Disney Company, DIS. Jump on it, and this is just one piece of that asset allocation you can put into play when you call our CPA Wealth Advisors and talk about that retirement master plan.
Absolutely, Jerry. Excellent. You have crushed inflation. And in order to come in and have us put all of these into a proper diversified portfolio and so much more, you know we're going to do a tax analysis. You know we're going to optimize your Social Security. Every time you come in, we think of a great idea for you. Please come see us. I tell you, I get tremendous pleasure out of seeing the benefit we provide in each and every meeting. 770-622-9145. You'll speak to Colleen. You'll make an appointment. Simple. Come see us. myself and our senior-most CPA Wealth Advisor, 770-622-9145. Again, our free retirement master plan, customized for you, and you bet we're going to incorporate the concept of Gerry's picks in your portfolio. 770-622-9145. I've got two good and quick Woody's Goodies that I'm going to open the next segment with. Keep it right here on the CPA Wealth Advisors radio show.
The last thing you want to be is 75 years old, full of life and flat broke. Put 55 years of tax, investment, and retirement experience on your side. You're listening to Gerry and Woody on the CPA Wealth Advisors show.
It's the good life to be free.
Back here on the CPA Wealth Advisors, this is Gerry, along with our co-host and my partner Woody, and this is the segment of the show that I look forward to with great anxiety. Every week, we refer to it as Woody's Goodies, where my partner introduces multiple, pointed, creative, actionable tax tips for you and your family. And this week, Woody has suggested that we got a twofer. You heard it right. 2 Woody's Goodies this week for the price of one. Woody, what do you have for our listeners?
Gerry, I do. I got 2 this week, and both of them came from meetings that I had just this week. Quick and easy. Here they are. Let me set up the first one. You have a couple. Both were working. One of them has nothing but a 401k plan. The other one has both an IRA account and a 401k. Their combined income does not enable them to make a Roth contribution. If they, in fact, do the normal backdoor Roth, which I'm going to remind you of, which is make a non-deductible contribution, the wife, who doesn't have an IRA account, can then immediately convert that into a Roth and has no tax effects because she doesn't have an IRA account. If you have an IRA account, then a portion of that would have to be converted as well, thereby creating tax. The husband was sitting over there next to her saying, yeah, but I can't do it. I can't do the non-deductible and then convert it into a Roth because then I'll have to convert a portion of my rather significant IRA account. Question: should I have stopped the conversation there and said to the husband, yep, you're right, the backdoor Roth does not work for you, nothing we can do? Or did we think of a Woody's Goodies that worked amazing?
I'm going to guess you thought of a good Woody's Goodies that worked amazing. What about you, Al?
Absolutely.
And
Let's hear it. Let's
here
hear
it is.
Let's hear it.
It's so simple. I said to the husband, let me ask you a very simple question. That IRA account that you have, where did that money originate from? In other words, did you roll that into an IRA account from a 401k plan from a previous employer? He said, yeah, as a matter of fact, I did. And then I said, but didn't you just tell me that you're now working again for a new company that has a 401k plan? He said, yeah. I said, 99% of all 401k plans will allow you to roll over an IRA account that originated from a qualified plan into their 401k plan. And after you roll that IRA account over into their 401k plan, you're left with no IRA account, correct? He goes, yeah. I said, now you go ahead and do that tomorrow. Roll it into your 401k plan. It's a pretty good plan. And guess what? You then also can make the non-deductible IRA contribution and immediately convert that over to a Roth because you no longer have an IRA account that will be tainted. Is that beautiful?
Woody, that's sheer simplicity. That's
yes.
beauty.
And that's the
Very
point.
creative.
It's just simple. You see, we look at those details, though. That's what our CPA Wealth Advisors really excel at. A second one, very easy. Equally as simple. And Gerry, you kind of hinted at the answer earlier, but I want to still set it up. We had a couple come in. Both of them are over 70.5. And you know when you hear the magic number 70.5, you think of required minimum distributions, where the government forces you to start taking out a portion of your IRA money so it can be taxed over the remainder of your life. Now, their accountant, before they came and saw us, had told them, you need to be paying in estimated taxes throughout the year, 4 times a year, to the government, because you're going to end up owing tax at the end of the year when we file your tax return, partly due to the required minimum distributions, and partly due, Jerry, because they had some other income as well. They had some other sources of taxable income. Now, our senior-most CPA Wealth Advisor looked at them and he said, you know, I cannot stand paying the government estimated taxes and, in essence, loaning them money before they really deserve it. And the couple looked at him and said, yeah, but we don't want to incur the estimated tax penalty by not paying them in. He goes, oh, absolutely, I agree with that, but you're missing something huge. Even I was sitting there going, well, what are we missing? And he said, you got the required minimum distribution that you don't take out until just about the very last day of the year, right?
The RMD.
The RMD. And he says, you don't take that out until the very last couple of days in the year. He said, yep.
But what about the WH?
He said, why don't you withhold the entire required minimum distribution? The IRS will consider that to be ratably paid in throughout the year, and you now no longer have to make any estimated tax payments, thereby circumventing the estimated tax payment rules. I love it. And Jerry, that's what we mean when you come in and you get our retirement master plan. And I tell you that I'm not going to have to buy you dinner, because we always see things like this, So we don't want you to run out of money in retirement. We've been talking about inflation this entire show. We want you to maintain your same lifestyle in retirement. And we want you to beat old man inflation. And I got to tell you, the skyrocketing cost of health care, that can even wipe out your savings worse than regular inflation. And here's the thing. We know we can help you because we've helped hundreds of people retire successfully right here in Atlanta, and we're doing it every week, and I know we can help you too. So why not come in and get the answers with our customized retirement master plan? By the way, it will not cost you a dime. And you know what you're going to learn? You're going to learn that what we do is going to change everything for you in retirement. The sooner that you get started, the better off you're going to be. I want to meet you. I love that you listen to our show. And forget about me, our senior-most, #1 in Georgia CPA Wealth Advisor is going to blow you away. So come see us. How? Call me at 770-622-9145. 770-622-9145. 770-622-9145. I cannot wait to meet you. Jerry and I will be back here next week, Saturday and Sunday at 10 a.m. on the CPA Wealth Advisors radio show. Jerry, high five to you. Awesome on the Jerry's Picks performance this year.
And what about Frank's 100th birthday, Woody? Did you catch the special the other night?
Excellent. That was really
Why don't we
neat.
have Frank take it away for our listeners, shall we?
Frank, take it away in honor of your 100th birthday.
Next week on the CPA Wealth Advisors. Take care.
Yes, it was my